All right, welcome back to what is week 6 of the Other Side Sports Podcast. We got some fun topics today. I am Josh Powers here with Matthew Binkley.
Hello, hello.
John Emmons is applying an update to his computer right now. Should be here momentarily. Got some good topics today. We're talking about NBA playoffs. We're talking about some more MLB talk. Talk some Mets, talk some Red Sox. Both those guys are off to a hot start. And then we're also going to talk about the NFL schedules announced today, and then we're going to finish our mock drafts for picks 17 through 32. We did 1 through 16 last week. If you missed that, you can catch that on our YouTube channel. So all of those are up there as well. So while we're waiting on Emmons to get going, Matthew, how you been doing?
I've been doing well. It's testing season at work, so we're almost to the home stretch. So doing all right though.
Yeah, you guys only got a couple weeks left until the end of the season.
Yeah. Last week of May. But hey, the Red Sox and the Celtics have been rocking it, so it's been pretty good for me sports wise. As well, and the Gators just had their spring game, so even better.
That's good. Mr. Emmons, how's it going?
Hello.
Welcome to the show. We hadn't started yet. We were waiting on you to get started, so
Perfect.
figured you would be right there. So here we go. Let's just get going right into it. First topic, NBA playoffs. Cavaliers struggled first game against the Indiana Pacers. Second game, LeBron James did LeBron James things. They have tied the series back 1-1 heading to Indiana. Are the Cavaliers back on the right track after their Game 2 win? Matthew, you had a strong opinion on LeBron, so I'm going to let Emmons go first on this and give his take, and then you can give your LeBron take after that.
Sounds like a plan.
I think the Cavs need to be really concerned, to be honest. After last night's game at home, struggling. I mean, they played well, but if you look at how the Pacers played, 6 for 22 from 3, missing wide open threes, couldn't hit the middle of the ocean if they wanted to from the 3-point range. 17 turnovers. LeBron needed to score 46 points and have the game that he did, and Indiana still had a chance to wide open shot for 3 points from 3-point range to tie the game. The effort on the court is horrible, besides from LeBron. As Ty Lue said after the game, it'd be nice. They need somebody else to do something besides LeBron. I don't think LeBron can carry them past the Pacers, to be honest. If he still has to do what he did last night, I think they lose this series.
I think you're missing the bigger picture. I've made it known what I really think of LeBron, but I don't think they have anything to be worried about right now. Because I agree with you a couple weeks ago about the East is getting better than it has been, but I still think it's a year off. I think they would be, I would say the Cavs need to be really worried if the Celtics didn't have all these injuries. If we don't have all these injuries and the Sixers are one more year past, they're done. They're done. But the Sixers are still too young. They're still a little too young. They're a year away from really competing. The Raptors are the stinking Raptors. They're not going to do anything. And that effort you're talking about, that's been LeBron team's MO for years. It's just he randomly has these games where he just gets mad and goes out and plays. So no, I think they're on the right track because he's starting to get that heat a little bit from the press, and that's when he plays. He plays whenever the press gets mad at him.
I know what you're saying. The Celtics, next year it's gonna be the Celtics and the Sixers East without a doubt. It's their conference next year. As long as Boston stays healthy, they're scary. I mean, but people forget that Gordon Hayward's coming back, and they still have Kyrie.
And look at how well they've played. I mean, I figured that the Celtics were going to get out of the first round, no problem, but I didn't expect them to play as well as they are. I mean, Brown is looking like a superstar.
Yeah, Jaylen Brown's playing great. Jason Tatum's playing 19.
Yes. And with Brad Stevens, that guy can coach. I mean, he literally
coach, dude.
And the fact that he has actual athletes now, because in the past couple of years, he was overcoaching. You know, he was getting more out of people than they really had talent-wise, and now he actually has talent, and they're listening to him. It's over once they're healthy and can stay healthy.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it too, every level Brad Stevens has been at, he's coached great with less talent.
Yeah,
he's coached amazing. Like he's been a great coach everywhere he's been at, regardless.
That Butler team almost beat Duke for the champion.
Yeah.
I mean,
given they had Gordon Hayward, but other than that, they had that one big dude. I can't remember his name. He had the mustache. I think it was Jeff something.
It's probably something like Jeff. But that's why I don't think that they're in trouble. I think that they can still easily get through this because the Sixers, they look young. I mean, they have the talent, but they look young. I mean, when you have a team like Miami who has that veteran leadership and they're able to do some of these things that they can do, I don't think that they're going to challenge them in the Eastern Conference Finals because LeBron's going to have that one game in Game 6 or something like that where he goes on the road and wins the game, and then they're going to move on. So
yeah,
I think they're on the right track. Mm-hmm.
He had an inhuman.
Yep. Oh, they're going to get destroyed. But he never did that though. He never consistently. He had a breakout game every once in a while. That finals against the Mavs with the Heat, he was nowhere to be found. He has the random game of dominance, and that's to me what I don't like about him is that game. He was at home, and it took the press calling him out, not a teammate. See, he doesn't take adversity from his teammates. He takes it from the press. When the press starts saying, "Hey, what's going on?" That's when he goes off. And that game, when he's hitting some of those shots, you don't see that from him consistently. It's here and there that you see it. But I think that I can't remember who said it, but I think it might be Jeff Van Gundy who always says it. You need your role players at home and your stars on the road. And the fact that he had to score 46 at home, if this is any other makeup of teams in the East, they're in trouble. Because your superstar doesn't need to score 46 at home against an inferior team if you're good. So you're a good team.
So I think we all kind of believe that the Cavaliers are kind of back on the right track as far as making it back to at least the Eastern Conference Finals. So what team that's not on the right track? What team is 0-2 right now that can come back and win their series and advance to the semifinals?
You going with him or me?
Matthew, you can start on this one.
I'd love to. The Bucks. The out of everything, it would be the Bucks because they have the stars to actually do something with the Celtics being injury-riddle. Because if you look at the Wizards, they're just terrible. I don't see the Wizards doing anything. I'm just disappointed in Giannis. I think that or Giannis, he just doesn't. He's just kind of there. Like there are so many stretches of the game where I'm like, where's Giannis? Oh, he's on the court, and then he has these moments where he actually plays to his ability, and you're like, wow, there's a superstar, and then he just disappears. I mean, in both games, he was just missing free throws. I mean, at the end of game 1, he had the chance to make that more of a scary game.
Yeah.
He just missed free throws, and you can't do that as the superstar. You can't do that.
Yeah.
So if they figure it out, they'll pull it off.
I'm wholeheartedly in agreement there. I really struggled with this one because I don't think any team that's down 2-0 right now. I think it's the Wizards, the Bucks, and the Timberwolves. I think the Bucks has to be the team.
No, Portland.
The Spurs.
Portland's Spurs.
Spurs and Trailblazers are also down 0-2.
Portland's done. They look horrible. They are absolutely shutting down Dame Lillard. They're done. I mean, the Spurs. That one's a given. Bucks and the Celtics is really the only interesting one still because, like Matthew said, Giannis had a weird game 1 because he dropped over 30 points, but at times of the game he was missing.
Yeah.
Their problem is they have these players, but as in the same game 1, the only players who really played was Chris Middleton, and Giannis. They both had over 30 points, and they had to have that crazy shot at the end of the game to tie it. I don't think. I guess if I had to pick a team, I'd pick the Bucks. I don't see it happening.
So that's the fun part about the show is you don't have to pick a team, because I'm not picking a team. None of those teams that are down 0-2 are going to come back and win their series. None of them.
I 110% agree.
Anthony Davis is taking over that Pelican series.
Mm-hmm. He's Drew Holiday.
He's an animal
again.
He's an animal. Anthony Davis is the man.
Could you imagine that team with Boogie though? I mean, that team with Boogie might have done something.
Yeah, especially with the way Drew Holiday's playing this year. Rajon Rondo's playing playoff Rondo basketball.
19 assists, one game. That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So I don't think any of the teams come back.
No.
The Spurs, they played at night. No Popovich because his wife passed away, and that's really unfortunate. And so I just don't see the Spurs coming back. The Wizards, Bradley Beal and John Wall can't get on the same page, and the not the Cavaliers, the Celtics. I don't know what the hell's going on with the Celtics. No Kyrie, no Gordon Hayward, and they're still playing.
No Marcus Smart either.
They're
Marcus
still
Smart
playing on fire. It's crazy.
But the Celtics have these real quick. They have these dog like kind of players with these dog mentalities, like tough, like Marcus Morris when they got from the Pistons. I mean, he's an old man style of a player, but he's just. There's no other way to describe. He's a dog.
He was about to fight somebody last game.
Yeah. I loved Marcus, man. I mean, I love the trade at first. We traded for him, but we lost that one. Then you got Jason Tatum, who's this young bull, but I mean, he's got his attitude about him. He's got some veterans ahead of him. He's got a great coach. I don't know. There's something about that team. I think they can make it interesting, stick around with whoever they play. But I mean, injuries are going to bite them. But that team's going to be scary. So
let's say Miami wins this series against the Sixers.
Yeah.
How interesting is that now?
Yep.
In that second round, I think all of a sudden now Boston gets a little more comfortable and have a chance, because I think if they make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, they have that confidence, and there's young kids at that point. They're not rookies anymore.
Because Jason Tatum, he's a really good basketball. It's not like he's just young.
Mm-hmm.
That's really the only knock on him.
The problem with the East is that they have all these young teams with all these young rookies,
right.
And I just don't feel like the rookies, if any of the young teams make it to the Eastern Conference Finals against LeBron James, I don't think any of them are going to be able to overcome like the, oh my God, it's LeBron in the conference finals mentality.
Do you really see him doing that for 4 games though in a 7-game series? Do you honestly believe that he takes over for 4 games?
I don't think the Cavs are going to the finals, so.
I haven't seen that though. I've never seen LeBron play 4 hard games, like actually him go off for 4 games in one series before. I implore you to find a series that he has had 4 games.
Well, so
the only time I would say
LeBron is playing his best basketball right now, like that he's probably ever played in his career.
And he had to play arguably one of his best playoff games ever to beat the Pacers at home by 3.
I would put that up there with that Celtics game. That Celtics game 6.
And that's the thing that worries me about the Cavs.
Yeah.
46 points in an unbelievable fourth quarter, almost better than the 27 straight or whatever it was that he scored against the Pistons.
Yeah. That game, by the way, that LeBron
by 3. I don't know if they lose to the Pacers. If the Pacers play like that game 1, and Victor Oladipo has been amazing this year. I don't see the Cavs making the Eastern Conference Finals unless if LeBron can score 46 points every game, sure. But
I don't see Toronto beating them though.
I don't either. Toronto looks really good, but Washington's really bad. So we'll find out a lot more about Toronto next.
But that's
round.
why I'm saying the Cavs are going to make the conference finals by default, basically. Because
right.
I just don't see the Raptors.
That's the thing. I guess it'd be tough to say Toronto's beating them. I think the Cavs are that much of a mess in my opinion. I guess, but it's 2 games, so I mean we'll figure it out. We'll see what happens.
So before we get too far away from LeBron James, let's move into Hold Up this week. This week's segment of Hold Up. I'm going to read off some statements, and Matthew and Emmons are going to, if they agree with my statement, they're going to stay quiet, and if they don't agree with my statement, they're going to say, hold up, and they're going to give their opinion as to why they do not agree with my statement. So earlier this season, the Cleveland Cavaliers traded away 4 players, one of which was Dwayne Wade. They got 3 different players back, reshaped their roster, and now they're trying to go for NBA Finals. So LeBron lost the first game of the series. The first time he's lost a game in a series 1 since 2012. Bounced back, scored 46 points. They evened that up. We all know that. So LeBron's contract is up at the end of this season, and it's been huge talk ever since the beginning. So here's your statement. LeBron James will not be a Cleveland Cavalier next season. All right. Kawhi Leonard has only played 9 games for the Spurs this year. He's in New York rehabbing while the Spurs are playing Golden State in the first round of the playoffs. He has 1 more year on his contract before it's up. Here's your statement. Kawhi Leonard will be a San Antonio Spur next season.
Hold up. I honestly think the Lakers right now, right? Everybody's talking about getting LeBron James, okay? LeBron James is, going on 34, 35? You got a guy like Kawhi, who I'll get into this more about Kawhi with his injury issue. If I'm the Lakers, I'm going to try everything I can to get a guy like Kawhi Leonard over Paul George or LeBron. I think he fits in much better with that team. I don't think you want to change your whole direction of what you're trying to build there and sign a guy like LeBron James who completely changes the way your team plays. Same with Paul George. I think Kawhi fits right in. So I think Kawhi is a perfect fit for the Lakers, and I think they're going to try to surprise some people and try to find a way to pick him up.
So the only problem with that is the Lakers can get LeBron James and Paul George for money.
Right.
They have to trade draft capital and player capital essentially to get Kawhi Leonard. So how would you do that without disrupting what you're in the process of doing right now?
The Lakers Go ahead, Matthew.
That's easy. If LeBron wants something to happen, it's going to happen. And LeBron, I've never seen or heard LeBron talk about Kawhi, so it's not going to be Kawhi. But if it was, listen, LeBron is the GM of the team, and LeBron picks his teams, whoever he wants around him. He picks his buddies.
Right. Hold on.
I've never. Yeah, go ahead. No, I think that they do that because if LeBron says, "Hey, I want Kawhi,"
where did LeBron come into this?
He was talking about LeBron. He said that
LeBron would be a free agent.
He said the Lakers weren't going to sign LeBron; they were going to get Kawhi instead.
Oh, I thought he was saying that
LeBron's not going to LA.
Okay, but I mean, you can get them. They've the past couple of years they've traded away some of these young picks that they've had. I just don't see that's unforeseeable. I just could see them doing that they could trade one of those guys away if they think they can get somebody in return that's a little bit more of a veteran. That's where I was going.
They got a lot of almost not expandable. They got a lot of young players that have a lot of potential that aren't playing a lot.
Well, it's going to take
Kuzma has been a huge surprise this year.
It's going to take more than one player to get Kawhi though. Like they're not just going to trade.
It's not going to take as much as you think, but it's going to take some. But a guy like Kyle Kuzma that got in the second round is up for Rookie of the Year. He's in the starting lineup. So all the players they've drafted before, there's some guys on the bench that are still have a lot of potential. I mean, that team is a really good young core, a lot of picks.
They could trade IT4 too.
So here's the thing. I think in the offseason, and this is something that I just thought of like right now, Kawhi could literally sit down with the GM of the Spurs, talk about why he doesn't want to come back. Maybe it was a medical staff issue with his injury. They completely replaced the medical staff. Now that Popovich's wife has passed away, he might retire after the season. He might not be into it anymore. You know, he's going to go through some personal issues over the next month or two. He might retire. He might step away from the game. So if they get a new head coach in there and then they commit to getting a different medical staff that Kawhi, can start fresh with, he might actually be willing to stay with the Spurs.
No, for sure. And he's going to be up for a max extension next year too. So I mean, that plays a part in it too.
I think you've got two really weird stories this year in the NBA. I don't think it's all on the Spurs. I think some of that frustration you've seen from Pop is all of this stuff that's been going on that we didn't know about. And I think that there's a big possibility that this is just a mental thing with Kawhi. That's not even necessarily the Spurs. Because when some of these injuries, think about Derrick Rose. He was never fully mentally back to Derrick Rose, even with those injuries.
Even IT, he rushed himself back a little bit. And
correct.
I don't want to get into this too much though, because I want to get into that with what's on my mind. So
right, okay, so we all kind of differ on where we think Kawhi might end up at the end of the year. So next statement: Washington Nationals are 9-10 to start the season. They lost last night. They were up 4-2 going into the bottom of the 8th inning. Ryan Madsen gave up 6 earned runs. They ended up giving up 9 runs in that inning and lost that game 11-4, I believe. So right now they're sitting in 4th place in their division behind the Mets, Braves, and Phillies. Your statement is the Washington Nationals will not make the playoffs.
Hold up. I think it's just too early. I think it's one of those things where they're just gonna. Bryce Harper's gonna get hot. That pitching staff will figure it out. They're in the NL East. I mean, yeah, the Mets have gotten off to a hot start, and we're going to talk about that. But it's too early. I mean, they're going to catch fire at some point. They'll figure it out.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree because Scherzer, Strasburg, and even Tanner Roark, who pitched yesterday, all pitched excellent this series against the Mets. It was the bullpen that let them down, and they'll figure out that bullpen situation, I think. So I think they'll be okay. I think they'll still make the playoffs. They still have one of the best players in baseball, and Bryce Harper, and they're deep all around. So I think they'll be okay.
Yeah.
Bartolo Colon carried a perfect game into the 8th inning against the defending champion Astros in his most recent start. Colon is 44 years old, and he's still pitching at a competitive level. Here's your statement. Bartolo Colon should be inducted into the Hall of Fame when he retires.
I'm gonna say.
Yeah. I mean, this is kind of hard. This is a hard one because I haven't been able to prep and look at his stats. But
that's what I was thinking. Like, I want to say hold up, but like, I feel like Bartolo Colon going in the Hall of Fame is just, like, I feel like he's like a really like one of those players who like you look at like us being baseball fans, we know who Bartolo Colon is. We know he's a solid pitcher. That's why I think he's just like a good pitcher.
Has he won a Cy Young before?
So I don't know that he's won a Cy Young, but I get to cheat with this question because I did get to look at his stats. He's barely under a 4.0 ERA for his career. He is not a Hall of Fame worthy pitcher.
No,
it's a fun story. It's a fun story, but he's not Hall of Fame worthy in my opinion.
He did back in 2005. He won it.
So one Cy Young, but I still don't think he's Hall of Fame worthy.
It was actually funny watching that perfect game though, because he was doing everything that you're not supposed to do as the pitcher when you're playing. He was smiling, he was joking around in the dugout. I mean, even when you don't have a perfect game, you're not talking to anybody when you're pitching. You're sitting there, you're just focusing on your next inning. This man's in there joking around, smiling, just a 44-year-old dude, just enjoying life pretty much, which was awesome to see.
He was throwing some nasty two seams. He threw a two seam to Altuve. That thing moved like 8 feet, dude. That thing was crazy.
Even the broadcasters were like, I guess since he's not taking this as serious, I guess we can kind of bring it up. He's having a perfect game.
I just pulled it up, and that was the year he kind of. A lot of people thought he stole it from Johan Santana. That was Johan Santana year where he just kind of went off. But apparently, Bartolo had more wins, so they gave it to him.
All right, moving on to our last topic for Hold Up. Former Steelers, Bengals, and Patriots linebacker James Harrison is retiring after 15 seasons in the NFL. He holds the Steelers franchise records for career sacks at 80.5. James Harrison should be inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame. That's your statement. Agreed. I think he should be inducted into the Hall of Fame. He's been a solid player for his career. He had a huge play in one of the Super Bowls. I don't remember which one, but he had a huge
interception. He brought back the Steel Curtain, really. I mean, he brought back that linebacking.
Wasn't he the one with that long pick six against the Cardinals?
Right. The huge pick six, yep. Yeah, so he had a great career. I agree. I think he should be in the Hall of Fame. All right, moving on to Major League Baseball. The New York Mets started off 13-4. Boston Red Sox have started off 15-2. So that
one loss to the Rays.
One loss to the Rays, and
we were talking about being a little worried about the Red Sox early on in the season, and here they are, 15-2.
So Matthew, I'll let you start with this one since this is your hometown team involved.
My baseball team is miserable. So
will both of these teams, one of these teams, or neither of these teams make the playoffs?
Well, I think that one's kind of easy. I think one, I just like I was talking about earlier with the Mets, I think that the Nats are going to end up winning that. It's one of those things where a lot of times when you get really hot beginning of the year, it doesn't really stay consistent if you're overachieving.
162 game Steven too, so it's like
especially if you're overachieving. Now with the Sox, it's a little bit more. You can't really say they're overachieving. They're doing what they were supposed to do. I don't think that they clearly don't keep up the pace, but I think they easily make the playoffs at this point. They've put themselves in a pretty good position. So yeah, I think it's just the Sox out of the two.
I agree. I think the Mets cool down. I think they get some injuries. Like Matthew said, I think the Nationals pick it up. I think they're going to be a tough beat in that division, and I think the Red Sox. I mean, we didn't expect 15-2 from them. I do believe I picked them to win the division. I think JD Martinez was a huge pickup for them. I love me some Mookie Betts. I don't think they keep up the pace at all, but I think Red Sox are going to make the playoffs, and I think the Mets will be unfortunately heartbroken staying home.
So I think both these teams could make the playoffs. The biggest surprise with the Red Sox so far has been the starting pitching.
Yep.
Didn't really know what you were going to get from David Price. Didn't really know what you were going to get from Rick Porcello after last year. Both those guys have been very dominant in their starts so far.
Can I throw a random Rick Porcello fact out there?
Yeah, go for it.
If you look at his career, even with the Tigers, he's an every other year guy. He'll have a horrible year, and then he'll come back and he'll have who is this kid?
Wow.
Like, it's every other year. It seems like in his career, it's been because he had, I think 2 years ago he had a really good year with the Red Sox, and last year he struggled, and now this year he's started good again.
2 years ago he won the Cy Young Award, so
right.
And that's been the biggest surprise for the Red Sox is they've got good pitching, and after that opening day struggle, the bullpen has been excellent as well. If the Mets pitching can stay healthy, if they can keep two of their four starters in the rotation together all at the same time, they'll be okay. 3 out of 4 is ideal. I doubt you're going to keep all 4 of them, and the 4 of them being Steve Matz, Matt Harvey, Jacob deGrom, and Noah Syndergaard. The 4 of them, if you can keep 3 out of the 4 of them healthy, I think that they've established enough dominance right now and enough distance between themselves and the Nationals that maybe they don't win the division, but they can at least compete for a wild card spot, and they can make the playoffs that way. But historically, that team has not stayed healthy, and when that team doesn't stay healthy, they don't do anything. So that's one thing to watch out for them.
And that's a very real thing because those training staffs, it's just like the Packers in the NFL. There's something with the training staff. If you look at the Mets, though, they're all 4 of their losses have come at home. They're undefeated on the road, and so that's a very interesting dynamic to it. But I think you're right. I mean, they're going to have some injuries, and then even the Phillies and the Braves are right there. I mean, they're only 3 games back, so they're not even that far off. So it's going to be a very interesting division.
It is indeed. So let's talk about. We have teams that are off to hot starts, obviously, and the Angels are also one of those teams we didn't cover. We'll talk about them a different day. So which team right now that's currently below 500, Emmons, do you think has the best chance of making a comeback and pushing for a playoff spot?
I would love just to take a hot take right now, and say the Tigers, but they're so bad I can't. It's one of the worst teams in baseball. I can't get too hype about it.
The problem with the Tigers, I'll tell you, is they can't hit. They don't have any guys who are hitting for power anymore. Victor Martinez and Miggy are contact hitters now. Yeah. They really struggle to hit for power. If they had some guys that could put the ball over the fence, they could actually do some damage in a wild card race.
We actually have some guys, before I get into who I'm picking, that we have some pieces. I think we have a brighter future than people think. Candelario, our third baseman, being one of them. But back on topic, I think I wanted to go away from the boring, obvious pick out of those teams, but I think it's the Nationals. Scherzer, Strasburg, that pitching staff, Bryce Harper, they're deep. They're 9-10, but I think the Mets are going to fall off, so I think they have the best chance of coming out of their slump and getting on I think they have the best chance out of those teams under 500 to go on a hot streak, which is going to be important after you start off 9-10.
I'm going to take the Dodgers. When I look at their runs, I mean, they have a differential positive 12. Yeah. So they're either really good or they're really bad from night to night. And they're in a division where they're not that far back, even though they're 8-9. They're only 4 games behind the Diamondbacks. And I think that you got to pick a team from the NL. I don't think any of the AL teams are going to come back. No. There's too much talent there. So I just see that division getting really ugly and them finding a way to climb up.
If the Angels,
they can score.
If the Angels hadn't started so hot, I would actually pick the Oakland Athletics right now to come back and take a playoff spot.
Yeah.
That team can hit, flat out. That team can rake. They've got some great young players. A lot of their guys are 26 and younger. They've got a bunch of great young players who can hit. But with the Angels off to a hard start, you're playing in a division with with the Astros, and then the Mariners are also playing pretty well right now. I just don't see it from them.
But that kind of goes. I almost picked them, but I remember that I picked the Angels to win the division. I think when you're in a division like that where you have a lot of talented teams, it becomes a fight,
Right.
and so that kind of it brings some of those records together, and that gives you a chance if you can hit, like you said, especially when you get into September.
So I think with my pick, I'm going to go with Emmons here. I'm going to say the Nationals. Scherzer, Strasburg have turned in Cy Young performances. Both of them, their last 2 times out, they've been fantastic. So that team just has so much good pitching. They've got Bryce Harper, who just rakes, borderline the top 3 player in the majors. And they're just so deep with Zimmerman and Roar, with Trey Turner, Anthony Rendon. Daniel Murphy hasn't even played a game yet, and they're still hanging in right there. So once they get Daniel Murphy back, who's arguably their best contact hitter, on base guy, they'll definitely be able to get back into it. Third topic. This one's not covered a lot because it's kind of a fresh idea. And I wanted to talk to you guys about this, and I actually did some research on this since I put it in here. I saw an article floating out there that the Oakland A's, actually, because they've been a team that people have talked about moving cities. I actually saw an article that said the Oakland A's would be perfect going to Portland, Oregon. So what are you guys' thoughts on that initially?
I can't really get into it much because I haven't looked. I wanted to look into it today, but I didn't really get a chance to.
Well, let me tell you some stats, and then you react to the stats that I'll give you. So I have two. The first one I don't really have any numbers on. I couldn't really find any. But that's at the Portland Sea Dogs, who is the Red Sox AA affiliate.
Yeah.
They have some of the best attendance in their division. So out of their 12-team division, they're in the top 2 to 3 in their division in terms of attendance, regardless of the fact that last year they really struggled last year.
So Portland's a really cool, weird town. A lot of interesting people there, but I mean that in a good way. And the Oakland Athletics have always kind of been an interestingly put together team, right?
Well, and that team, and like I said, that team has young pieces. So let me give you this. Let me give you this other stat that kind of that goes with this would
I think
work
you're going
for
to where
Oakland.
I was going with, but I'll let you go ahead and.
So the Portland Trailblazers are the only professional sports team in Portland right now, as far as I know.
No, the Portland Timbers.
What are they? Are they hockey?
MLS.
MLS, yeah.
Get out of here with that MLS crap. The Trailblazers have been top 10 in average attendance in the NBA every year since 2008, and they've even been as high as number 2 in 2011 and 2012.
Yeah,
So
Portland Timbers got pretty good attendance too.
people are coming out to watch the Trailblazers. So I feel like if you give them and let's be fair, the Portland Trailblazers have not really been that good until just recently, a couple years ago.
Well, I mean, they
So-
were good when they were good when they were they're Dame Lillard and LaMarcus Aldridge.
How long has Dame Lillard been around?
More than just a couple of years.
Yeah.
Okay, well, whatever.
Well,
Marcus
here's the
Aldridge
thing,
played
though.
together for a
I
couple
can
years.
I can tell you just anecdotally. I would have to pull up the numbers, but historically, when they have and not just playoff games, even when they were not great, every time I watched a Portland Trailblazers game, they have fans there.
Yeah,
Because if you look at that city is on the outer edge of Silicon Valley, and so you've got a lot of higher income people living there that have this money that they can spend, and not, like you said, not that much, entertainment, sports entertainment, at least for professional wise. If you look at it, I would agree that this is probably going to happen in the terms of that the Oakland A's move, because when you look at why it went down with the Raiders, and now what's going down with the Warriors, the city just doesn't want to put in the money that these owners want them to put into. So it's going to happen. I think eventually it's not a matter of if.
and they're trapped in the Coliseum right now, pretty much.
Yeah, it's just terrible. And their attendance, every time I see a game there is.
Yeah, and the Portland's a really cool young town. Oakland A's a really interesting put together team, a really young team.
Yeah.
Wacky baseball team with a wacky town. I think it's a perfect fit, match made in heaven, in my opinion.
And I'd be interested to see it. Let's say they went to Portland. I'd really be interested to see, with that fan base getting behind them and actually pumping money into it, if they would start spending more of that money to keep these players instead of every 5 years rebuilding everything.
Right.
See, I think it would be a good move for them. Attendance there has historically been good for the teams that are there. So that's good. That's good news for them. So if they do decide to go that route, I think that'd be a good move for them.
What would you do if you're an Oakland fan and they go to Las Vegas? You lose the Raiders and the A's.
We don't talk about this much at all. I mean, I'm really the only avid. Well, I don't know about Matthew, but the Las Vegas Golden Knights are expansion.
They're killing it.
They're just swept their way into the second round, and they look good.
Yeah. They're apparently the favorites now to win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, they look really. I don't know. I mean, there's a couple teams. I think Pittsburgh and Boston looks really good, but
I'll throw you some hockey topics in next week. Let's move on for now. Sorry, buddy. So we're gonna move on to NFL. Get to our picks 17 through 32 in our mock draft, in just a second we'll get to that. Matthew, what the NFL schedule was announced at 8:00 tonight. What is the game for your Patriots that you're most excited about?
Oh, you didn't say I had to pick for the Patriots.
Okay, well then, what game are you most excited about? Me and Emmons did picks for our teams.
Listen. Every game that's on TV for the Patriots is good since I live in Florida. So, I'm going at kind of out on the limb here. I wanted a primetime game because primetime games are great. Sunday, October 21st, 8:20 p.m. I think what week was it? 7. Yeah, week 7, Los Angeles at the Niners. I want to see that matchup because those two teams are on the up and up, and I think that's going to be a great game. I think that's going to be one of those classic games that I stay up too late. I'm tired the next morning. I really want to see that defensive battle with those two offenses starting to click at that time of the year. I think that's going to be a very entertaining game.
Go ahead, Josh.
You want a second to look over the schedule and pick a different game?
Yeah, I want to make sure I don't want to change my...
Okay. So the game I'm most excited about for the Jaguars, and I think I would probably pick this game even if I wasn't a fan of the Jaguars. Week 11, the Pittsburgh Steelers come to Jacksonville at 8:20 p.m. on a Sunday night for Sunday Night Football.
That'd be a good one.
So that's going to be a good game. Played them 3 times. We didn't play them 3 times. Played them twice. Played them twice last year. Beat them both times. It was both games were really heavily trash talk between both teams.
Mm-hmm.
So going into that playoff game against them, Ben Roethlisberger's like, I hope we play Jacksonville. I need to redeem myself. And then they lost again, and Boye and Ramsey were flexing on them. So I'm really excited for that matchup.
And going to Jacksonville, not going to Pittsburgh.
Right. And they're going to be coming to the bank.
Yep.
So that's going to be fun. So that's week 11. So I'm really excited for that game.
I'm going to stick with my original pick. I was week 3. The Lions have obviously, we all know how bad the Lions have been in history. I like it all depends on the draft. I think this Lions team can actually compete in the NFC North this year. So I think I was gonna go week 3, the Patriots Lions Sunday Night Football, because I think the Matt Patricia. I don't. Where is that game?
Yeah. It's in Detroit.
It's in Detroit.
Yeah.
Sunday Night Football. So the Lions actually have 2 primetime games in Detroit, week 1 and 3, which is interesting.
That is interesting.
But I'm still gonna stick with my guns because I think the Lions. The main point of the Lions sticking in the division race. So I think the week 16 game against Minnesota is going to be fun to watch. So that's the one I'm most looking forward to. I've always hated the Packers, but I've really grown to, even though I voted for the Vikings in the playoffs, I just can't stand them when we play them. So I think the Vikings are becoming more of a rivalry than the Packers since Aaron Rodgers just spanks us every time we play them anyway. So I'm going to go with the week 16 matchup between the Minnesota Vikings and the Detroit Lions.
I'm also looking forward to that Patriots-Jaguars rematch week 2.
I almost picked that one, but I figured you were going to pick it.
I thought you were going to pick it, so I moved on.
I thought you were going to pick it.
Yeah. So let's get down to our mock drafts, picks 17 through 32. So draft is a week away, boys. We're 7 days away from the draft.
I can't wait for next week's live draft show.
So we're at pick 17. We got the Los Angeles Chargers at that pick. Matthew, who are they taking? And before you say who they're taking, remind us of your trades that you had in the first round. You don't have to give the
I got-
picks. You don't have to give the picks. Just give us the trades. What trades did you project?
I got to remember because we had a power outage, so I lost it.
Okay, then just go ahead. Just go ahead and do your picks.
Okay.
Then.
Yeah, I don't really have any trades. I don't have any that are affecting any of this.
Okay, so go.
Okay.
So who do you think Chargers take number
I
17?
have the Chargers taking McGlinchey.
Mike McGlinchey.
McGlinchey, yeah, I hate saying that name. The tackle from Notre Dame. I think they got to get Phillip Rivers some help because they got some good pieces around him. So they just got to get some
sure.
help.
Yeah, I have McGlinchey going to 15 to Cardinals in the previous week. I think the Lions. Chargers need a interior. I think Vita Vea sitting there at 17 would be a steal for them. I have them going Vita Vea. They need somebody put in the middle there next to Joey Bosa. Still got Ingram over there. I think that'd be a great piece to that defensive line.
I have Vita Vea going to the Chargers as well. You put Joey Bosa, Mark Ingram, Vita Vea on that D-line. That's the scariest D-line in football, even including my Jags. So
yeah,
so that's
scary.
That's a scary D-line right there. So we're gonna pick number 18, Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks got rid of Richard Sherman in the offseason. Jimmy Graham departed. They lost Tyler Lockett as well. Emmons, who do the Seattle Seahawks target with the 18th pick?
Can they finally please get this man, Russell Wilson, somebody to attempt to block for him? Right? Connor Williams is still out there, offensive tackle I really like out of Texas. I'm a fan of his, but I do think other people are a little down on him. So that's why I have him at 18. I think the Seahawks, I mean, we can't afford to watch. I mean, they're losing their defense. Your one piece that you still have there is Russell Wilson. We can't afford to see that man running around for his life anymore. So I think they take Connor Williams and hope that he's the starting of that piece of that offensive line they can hopefully build.
So I have them taking the exact same position, just a different name. I have them taking Mike McGlinchey, tackle from Notre Dame.
Yeah, see, if Mike McGlinchey was still there, they take him.
Yeah.
So I have McGlinchey being the first tackle off the board on my mock draft. So I think that's where they end up, just for the exact reason that you said.
I have them taking O-line, so if the Seahawks don't take O-line,
I think it's a pretty
what
well
the hell are they doing? Yeah. I have them taking James Daniels, the center from Iowa.
Another interesting Seahawks thing. I mean, let's not forget one of their picks last year. Malik McDowell is like gone. He's just not going to be ever playing football again, really. So after that, I think it was a snowmobile or a four-wheeler accident. So it was a waste of a draft pick for them.
I think
they've had some weird moves.
I think the Seahawks are actually an interesting team that could pick a wide receiver as well. Just they could. There. So number 19, the Dallas Cowboys, the hosts of the NFL Draft. So they cut Dez Bryant earlier this week.
God, by the funny tidbit, I want to get into that. But...
By the way, Brandon Marshall said there's no room on the Giants roster. Brandon Marshall goes, "There's no room over here, baby boy," and then the Giants cut Brandon Marshall.
I didn't get into the Brandon Marshall thing. Did he fail his physical or something? That's what I thought I read.
I have no idea. I didn't read it. I just saw they cut him. So Dallas Cowboys, you cut Dez Bryant, you bring in Allen Hurns. Cole Beasley has been an alright slot receiver. Go get yourself DJ Moore from Maryland. Put out there on the outside. Give Dak Prescott another weapon to throw to.
See, I think... Oh, go ahead.
I really think sticking to my guns for my last week. I don't want to change my mock too much because I do think they can go wide receiver here. I still have all the wide receivers besides Ridley on the board. I think Deron Payne's sitting there. That another team desperately needs a guy in the middle of that defensive line. I think Deron Payne's a guy who can fill up that middle for you, and I think they go with Deron Payne, which actually throws a lot of things off for my beloved Lions, who desperately need D-line as well for the next pick.
So we agree. So you and I are thinking that Jerry Jones is going to have enough sense to not pick a wide receiver. I love it. I haven't taken Vita Vea for the same reasons that you said.
But Jerry Jones, I also feel like the other guys around Jerry Jones have more control now than they did in the past.
Oh, for sure. 3 years ago, this is Calvin Ridley.
I think them cutting Dez was a sign that they're more into maybe becoming an actual football team.
Jerry is hosting this thing. He's gonna want to make a splashy pick. He's got to make He's got to make his fans go wild. So we'll see what happens.
I don't know if DJ Moore makes his fans go wild though.
Detroit Lions, pick number 20. Emmons, this is your team, so you started off first, buddy. Who are they taking?
So, we all know we need D-line desperately as well. I'm not really big on Harold Landry, who would really be the only other guy I'd want to grab here to be a pass rusher. And for whatever reason, in my mock draft, the way the picks fell, the trade I had early, all the cornerbacks besides Denzel Ward are still there. I don't trust Nevin Lawson. He's 5'9". He gets jump balled all the time. Tease Tabor is more of a slot guy for me.
Mm-hmm.
Got Matt Patricia. I think Josh Jackson, who I would think would be gone long ago to like the Packers maybe. He's still sitting there. I think he's a talent who fits perfectly in what Matt Patricia likes to do. And I think that'd be a steal for us at 20. Put him next to Slay, move Tease inside, and find a way to get rid of that guy I hate, Nevin Lawson.
Go ahead, Matthew.
I have them taking an offensive lineman.
Oh, God,
Have
don't
them
do this
taking-
to me.
Isaiah Wynn. Guard from
Don't
Georgia.
do this to me. Oh, my God. It's better than us taking Will Hernandez like I thought. That's such a boring... Like, I mean,
I know,
do
but
need interior, but...
you do need him. I mean, you can't ever start to run the ball if you don't have a guard.
Well, we had an interesting argument earlier on what the Lions should take there, but we won't get into
No,
that.
we won't get into that. It doesn't relate to this show. So I have the Lions taking Daron Payne, defensive
I like
tackle
that
at
pick.
Alabama. I think they need the interior help. He's there. He was dominant at Alabama. Go get him. Cincinnati Bengals got 21 from the Buffalo Bills. Matthew, who do the Bengals take?
Will Hernandez, guard from Texas El Paso. I just think they're going to try to run the ball a little bit more. I think so. Go get one of the best running linemen in the draft. That
Will
dude's
Hernandez.
big. He's
big.
huge.
He's a big boy. I got Will Hernandez going there as well for the same exact reasons Matthew just said, so I'm not really going to talk much about that pick.
I have the Bengals. They're sitting there right now, and if the draft plays out for them the way my mock has, they're all sitting there just rubbing their hands because they're getting their hands
There's
on
some guys out there.
They're getting their hands on Roquan Smith,
Jesus
linebacker from
Christ,
Georgia.
Roquan Smith, falling all the way to 22.
Roquan
Interesting.
Smith, linebacker from Georgia. They're
Probably
gonna
the best linebacker in the draft.
they're gonna put him right out there next to Vontaze Burfict. He goes in that 4-3 system very well. That's gonna be a great linebacking core right there.
The Cowboys would have taken him. There's no way Jerry passes that up.
So we got pick number 22.
That's a great point.
Pick number 22. Who has pick 22? Is it the Bills?
It's the Bills, not for
Okay.
me though.
Okay, so not for me either. I had the Bills trading up with Cleveland. Cleveland has this pick for me. I have the Cleveland Browns at this point taking Connor Williams, offensive tackle from Texas. You bring in a quarterback earlier in this draft, and then you sign Carlos Hyde to a free agent deal. You need somebody to protect these guys and give them lanes to run through and give them time to pass. So I think you go get a tackle.
Yeah, so I guess I'll break that awkward silence there. Me and Matthew deciding on where to go. I feel like I have the Giants trading out of number 2, which taking the Bills' two first round picks, and I think it's them sitting at 22 with how my draft has fallen. They're in a weird position. Not a lot of. I had them taking Josh Rosen. Or no, I'm sorry, the Bills traded up, so they took Lamar Jackson, I think they're gonna bust this draft completely in the first. I think they take Harold Landry, guy he's an edge rusher. I don't like him that much. I think he's gonna be a bust as well. So I think the Giants just completely have a debacle in the first round of the draft.
I would love that. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, I
The
don't like
Giants.
Harold. I like Lamar Jackson, like I talked, but he's got to go to the right place. And New York is just a bright, shining city. And I think they take Harold Landry, who I'm just not big on right now. I mean, he could change mine, but
If the Bills are here for whatever reason, they got to do what Josh was just saying. They got to take a tackle. They're going and on my board, Colton Miller, tackle from UCLA.
yeah, he's an interesting prospect.
Which sets up the most beautiful thing happening in the next pick.
No, of course it does.
Pick number 23, the New England Patriots. Matthew, who do your Patriots take at number 23?
They see the tackles that they wanted to get gone. And so Bill Belichick says, you know what? Screw it. He's still here. And they take Calvin Ridley.
I love it.
And they say, you know what? Forget
Because-
it. We're not going to get the tackle we wanted, okay, to replace Solder. So, hey, let's just replace our receiver that was going to cost us a lot of money and why we had to trade him in the first place and get a cheap receiver who fits right in that Josh McDaniels mold.
Yeah, I actually I like that because I don't think Calvin Ridley is really a top 10 talent. I just think the 49ers are going to try, so hard to get a weapon for Jimmy Garoppolo, so they go Calvin Ridley, reach for him. But At 23, I have a guy who I'm surprised is still there. Rashaan Evans, the linebacker out of Alabama, sitting there at 23. I mean, you're thinking to yourself as a
I'd be
Patriots,
okay with
I mean,
that.
get another linebacker. Rashaan Evans coming from Alabama, and he dealt with some injuries there, but he played great when he's been in, so I think he's a great fit for Bill.
I have the New England Patriots at pick number 23, also taking a linebacker, but it is Tremaine Edmonds, Virginia Tech. Great pass rusher. They run like a 3-4.
Have these guys
Dude,
available still?
I tell you why, because I have a lot of corners going early. There's a lot of corners going early.
Yeah, you do.
And I also have a lot of wide receivers going earlier than you guys do because the wide receiver class isn't deep. I think teams are going to trade up to try to get some of these better wide receivers in this class because it always happens. Corey Davis, John Ross, Mike Williams last year. So that's why I kind of bump these wide receivers up because it always happens.
I agree that always happens, but I think last year was such a debacle for early receivers. John Ross didn't make a catch. Mike Williams, I don't really know how many snaps he played, and Corey Davis was.
Corey Davis actually had a good year last year.
I think he dealt with a hamstring.
But he wasn't getting the touchdowns that they were expecting him to.
Yeah, I mean for the number 5 pick. I mean, do you think it might
in the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean maybe I don't know. I think it scares teams off a little bit, not that much, to where they don't take him in the first round. That was my thinking going into this year.
So 24th pick in the draft, you got the Carolina Panthers. Emmons, who they taking?
I think they get a steal here because I don't have the corner. My corners are like Josh's linebackers. I think they take the combine stud and Jair Alexander. I think he's sitting there at 24. Carolina could use some secondary help. I don't think you can pass that name up when he's sitting there at 24.
See, in my mock draft, Denzel Ward, Jair Alexander, and Josh Jackson are all already off the board. So the Carolina Panthers take Mike Hughes, cornerback from UCF. They need that defensive help, especially at corner.
He's my second favorite corner in the draft.
I think Mike Hughes is underrated, so I think they go get him.
We talked about that earlier. I think
I had him going way up there with the Redskins, I think.
Yeah, I think I had this conversation earlier. He reminds me a lot of Darius Slay as a draft stock wise, not play style wise, but not a lot of people talking about him.
So Matthew, who do you have the Panthers taking?
I have the Panthers taking, who I actually almost had the Pats taking for the same reasons John said, was Rashaan Evans, linebacker from Bama.
Yeah.
Okay. Tennessee Titans, number 25, one of my team's division rivals. I have them taking Arden Key, defensive end out of LSU. They need pass rush. Arden Key is physical guy, some off-the-field trouble, but I think Mike Vrabel can handle that.
Yeah. I think they continue to build that old line that they've built there. They got their two outside guys. Conklin had more of a down year than he did his rookie year, but and Taylor Lewan, I think they go and get their center and Billy Price out of Ohio State, a kid that I really like a lot.
Even with his injury?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have the Titans taking Sam Hubbard.
He's an interesting player.
From Ohio State. I think that they need to get some front seven going on there. I mean, they took Adoree Jackson last year. I think they just they've got that offensive line going so much and the running game going. I think they've got to get, especially going up against this against that AFC South. I think they got to get some pass rushing going.
I think they got their two outside guys. I'm not sold on their interior linemen.
All right, Atlanta Falcons, number 26. Matthew, who do they take to avoid blowing a 28-3 lead in the Super Bowl?
I would love for that to happen. So I have them taking Daron Payne, defensive tackle from Alabama.
Pick for them, him still being there.
Yeah, if he's still there, they take that. Yeah, because if you put that with that speed on the outside, that's a scary front seven.
All right, Emmons, who do they take?
Same reasons Matthew just said, except I got a guy who is a huge name coming into the draft until he had his heart issue. I think they'd take Maurice Hurst. I mean, his heart's more. I mean, they're not as concerned about it anymore, but I mean, it can come back at any time. So I still think he drops. But I think at 26, the Falcons think to themselves, most of the other defensive linemen are gone. He's a really talented kid. You put him with the speed that they have already. That's a dangerous front seven.
So I originally had the Falcons taking Maurice Hurst, but then his heart issue scared me away. So I have the Falcons picking Christian Kirk, wide receiver from Texas A&M.
Yep.
Lose Taylor Gabriel to free agency to the Chicago Bears. You need somebody to go with Julio to catch passes, so I am going Christian Kirk. New Orleans Saints, 27 on the clock. Devastating loss to the Minnesota Vikings right before the championship game.
That's one that's going to sting forever for them.
That is. Emmons, who do they take? Pick 27.
Leighton Vander Esk. He's an interesting. I'm really high on him. The concern with him is he had a spinal injury, not last year, but the season before. He played a full season this year. He tested well at the combine medically, and I think he fits in perfect with the Saints scheme. I think he needs a linebacker.
Okay, so for my 27th pick, I have the Saints, who they were close last year. They looked great on offense and defense all season. Saints are taking Mason Rudolph out of Oklahoma State. Learn from Drew Brees while he's still there, because
Love me some Mason Rudolph.
because you're not because once Drew Brees is gone, even if that team stays exactly the way it is, and you have to go get a different guy that's not Drew Brees, you're gonna struggle. So I think you go get Mason Rudolph, let Drew Brees help that kid learn.
I have them taking, to put on the other side of their first round pick last year, Lattimore. I have them taking Jair Alexander.
Oh, that would be so dirty.
I think that they finally really get serious about this secondary. And I think they go pick them up and just say, hey, throw on us. Let's go, Atlanta. Because Atlanta's going to have these weapons. So they say, hey, let's go. I mean, when they look at the Bucs and that wide receiving core, it's
Marcus Lattimore was such a great pick for them.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh Steelers, number 28. I have them taking an interesting pick, one that nobody probably saw coming. I have the Pittsburgh Steelers taking Darius Geis, running back from LSU. They've made it pretty clear that they don't want to pay Le'Veon Bell.
Right.
They've made it pretty clear. So go get Darius Geis. Le'Veon Bell is going to play this season, but you can kind of get Geis going ahead and get integrated into this offense. He can take over for Le'Veon Bell next season. You can let him walk.
I think they need safety help. I'm really big on Justin Reed out of Stanford. I think he can go in there right away, day one, lock up that safety position for him.
I have the Steelers taking Josh Jackson. He slips on the board. Slips on the board and goes.
Taking an offensive lineman when Josh Jackson is sitting right in our lap.
Yeah.
Don't do this to me, Matthew.
I think they need to get some help out there. I mean, they got a couple young guys back there, but it was showed against the Patriots in their two games against them, or their game against them last year, that they just need some help.
So I'm curious with this next pick, number 29, my Jacksonville Jaguars. Matthew, who do you have them taking?
I have them taking Cortland Sutton, wide receiver for SMU. They got to get a receiver here, and I think for the same reasons John said earlier, I think that some of these receivers are going to fall.
Yeah. I also have them taking Cortland Sutton at 29. So all three of us have him going just at different times. I went back and forth with this pick between DJ Moore and Cortland Sutton. I think they go more towards an Allen Robinson type since they lost him, which Cortland Sutton reminds me. I mean, that's almost my comparison. So I think Blake Bortles will be familiar with that type of receiver, and I think he's probably is the most pro-ready out of the receivers.
I also had Cortland Sutton going to the Jaguars, but I had it happening at number 15 in the Arizona Cardinals, trading down to number 29. And the Arizona Cardinals select Justin Reed, safety from Stanford, to replace one honey badger that they cut this offseason. Pick number 30 after a devastating loss in the NFC Championship game. Emmons, who do they take at number 30?
I have them taking Isaiah Oliver, who I somewhat like out of Colorado, the cornerback. I don't know why. I have a feeling he's a Minnesota type guy watching his tape. They got Trey Waynes over there, Xavier Rhodes, what's his name? Terrence Newman isn't getting any younger, so I think they don't really need to. I mean, I guess you could go O-line, but their O-line played well last year, so I don't really think. I think Isaiah Oliver is a good insurance pick for him, cornerback, kind of build them up like they did with Trey Waynes earlier in his career and go from there.
I also have the Vikings selecting an Isaiah, but it's Isaiah Wynn, the offensive guard from Georgia. They do need to bolster that O-line. Dalvin Cook's coming back. Yeah, they want to keep establishing the run game and protecting their new franchise guy in Kirk Cousins. So go get Isaiah Wynn, plug him in.
I think that they take the fastest corner in the draft, Dante Jackson.
I didn't see him jumping up that much. That's interesting.
I just see them trying to really solidify that because, like you said, Terrence Newman, is getting really old. I see them trying to just play him in the slot a little bit to start moving him up towards when they have to pay, Xavier Rhodes. And
they've showed their love for speed corners when they drafted Trey Waynes. So, I can see that.
Pick number 31, Matthew, back to your New England Patriots. Who do they take at 31?
They were able to take Calvin Ridley because they knew that some linemen would fall that they wanted to get since they didn't get their tackles, and so they take Connor Williams from Texas.
That'd be a good pick. I have them taking a receiver who I think would I'm not a Patriots guy at all, but I would love to see this kid in a Patriots jersey. I'm a big Big Ten guy. I think DJ Moore could be exciting for the Patriots at 31. I don't think DJ Moore is ready to be that guy yet. I think you give him a couple years, build him up. Get his route. He needs to improve on his route running. I think he can be a big star there.
The only thing about my pick and that pick right there, the Patriots have a terrible track record with receivers early on.
That's true.
With first 2-rounder receivers.
So I have the Patriots replacing Nate Solder and drafting Colton Miller, the tackle from UCLA, at number 31. Take that. Protect Tom Brady for his last year that he's going into this year. So we move on to our Super Bowl champion, Philadelphia Eagles. Emmons, who do they take at number 32?
The steal of the draft. They add a guy named Mike Hughes at 32. Add to their secondary. Make that secondary better than what it was. The defense. I love Mike Hughes. He's probably besides like the most talented guys. He's my favorite player in the draft.
So I also have them selecting a corner since Patrick Robertson is not coming back after free agency. But all those guys have already been gone off my board for a while. So I have them. See who your corner is. I have them taking Isaiah Oliver out of Colorado at that spot.
I have them. They're so loaded on their team that they get smart here and trade back to the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins move up from their second-round pick, and they move up and get Christian Kirk to replace Landry.
All right. So that's picks 1 through 32 completed for all of us. If you missed 1 through 16, you can catch that on our YouTube channel, as I said at the beginning of the show. If not, then you caught them all, and that's what we're thinking. So as we're moving into the end of our show, Mr. Emmons, why don't you tell me what's on your mind this week, buddy?
Touched on it a little bit earlier. The Kawhi Leonard thing's not a secret. What's going on with him? I heard it on a talk show yesterday, and it really just bugged me because I've always been a big Kawhi guy. I'm starting to hear people starting to call Kawhi soft. I think Kawhi's being smart. For reasons that we talked about earlier. We also talked about the media demanding to know things from the players with their injuries. I think Kawhi feels like the Spurs medical staff, especially with Greg Pop making some interesting comments about some players taking shots at Kawhi. I think he's worried. I think he's concerned with his health. I think he trusts his doctor over the medical staff in San Antonio. I think you look at Derrick Rose. He never mentally got back. I mean, he's just now starting to play decent. Isaiah Thomas rushed himself back. He's dealt with a lot of injuries since he rushed himself back. I think Kawhi is being smart here. I think the popular thing is like, oh, he's not playing with his team. He's up for a max contract next year. I don't think he wants to risk that either. I think he's worried about himself. These guys make millions of dollars, but bodies generally only last for about 10 to 12 years. So it's not like he has his whole life. So I just think he's being careful with it. I guess it's a different take of it. I don't think he's being soft at all because I think he's one of the hardest workers in the NBA, and I guess it just kind of irked me the wrong way how people are coming at Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah, I think there was somebody. It was somebody who was may have been Jalen Rose, but basically his argument was Isaiah Thomas cost himself $100 million plus dollars. And these players, they pay attention to that. They are so smart. They are much smarter than we give them credit for. And my degree originally was in broadcasting. These players owe the media nothing.
No.
Exactly. They do not deserve to know. If they can't figure it out investigatively, they don't deserve to know. This whole idea is you need to give me the information. No, you need to go look it up. You need to go figure it out. Go find his team, this mysterious team that we're all being told about, and talk to them. If you can't get that, then you don't deserve to know. And I think that this whole idea of sacrifice yourself for your team, It's antiquated.
Yeah.
It's so
It's
antiquated
one
and just
thing if-
overplayed.
It's one thing if you have a career. It's still a little crazy that if a work wants to rush you back from an injury, and you generally work
Yeah.
at a place or not necessarily at one place, but in a career for 30 years, 30, 40 years. This guy has 10 to 12 years on average to have a career. I mean, yeah, he's
And
gonna
his
make
big
millions of
contract
dollars,
coming.
but I mean,
his first big contract.
So
I
one,
think he's being smart about this. I don't think he's soft. I don't think he's scared to. I think he's scared to come back because of his health. I mean, and it's a legitimate fear.
So one thing that'll never happen in professional sports because players' associations won't let it happen because of collective bargaining agreements is situations like this wouldn't be so blown up if teams didn't have to pay players if they weren't playing. It's basically that simple. If the Spurs weren't required to pay Kawhi because their doctors have cleared Kawhi. They said he's fine. I don't know why he's not playing. If at that point they had to stop paying him, if Kawhi said, okay, I'm going to stop taking pay now because your doctors have cleared me, but my doctors haven't, I don't think this would be as big a deal for the Spurs as a team. But the fact that they still have to pay him, and he doesn't want to come back. So, like, even next year, they still owe him, I think, $20 million next year.
21,
If he doesn't play a single game, they still have to pay him. They don't have a choice. It's like contractually required of them. But if they say, our team doctors now clear you, and you're saying you don't want to play because your doctors won't clear you, then we're just not going to pay you until you come back. And then I think that would kind of resolve this whole like dispute between it wouldn't resolve the whole thing, but it would definitely make the Spurs less like pushy on Kawhi coming back.
Not necessarily. They would just go to the courts because then Kawhi's doctors would come in and argue that he's not cleared, and then you have a legal situation now.
Because then
it gets even more messy.
Then you could have a situation, and this could be part of the collective bargaining agreement, where you have a third-party doctor that's not affiliated with Kawhi or with the league determine. And if that third-party doctor determines that you should be good to play, then at that point you could stop. Like,
but that comes
would
in
be the pay cut.
arbitration in the legal system. But that comes in arbitration in the legal system, and that's what I'm saying.
Unless
like,
it's already
legal,
if it's already
cutting that.
If it's already set forth in a collective bargaining agreement, though, it doesn't need to be taken legal. So if in the bargaining agreement, if Kawhi's doctors say he's not good, but team doctors say he is good, then you go to a third party system, no lawyers or anything involved. That could be written into a collective bargaining agreement. Emmons, it's your topic, so I'll give you last word, and then we got to go.
I mean, I think we covered it. I guess the only thing I have to say about yours is I think that would make it another interesting thing of teams even pushing harder to get players back, especially in this situation, because if you're Kawhi Leonard, you want your contract. If the Spurs then go, he wants to get healthy so he can get that money, they might have even said earlier in the year that he's cleared to go, just so they don't have to pay him. So, I mean, I think obviously collective bargaining agreements, things would be worked out in certain ways, but we can't get into details like that. That'd take forever. I think there's a lot of interesting ways to go with this. I don't think Kawhi Leonard's soft at all. I think he's just being smart with this.
Yeah.
All right, that's going to be it for our show today. Next week, we're going to do a show Thursday night again. And then after that, we'll go back to our regularly scheduled Tuesdays. Next Thursday, we're going to do a live draft show. I don't know what time the draft starts. Do you guys know what time the draft starts? Is it 8:15?
Probably 8:15.
Okay. So I would say we'll probably go live maybe 15 to 30 minutes before the draft starts. And just kind of give a build up into the draft, and then we're gonna be here and we're gonna watch the draft live, and we're gonna have one of our friends on to cover the draft with us as well.
He'll be here. He'll be joining us probably towards the later part of the first round. He's got some things going on, but he's gonna make sure he can make it.
Okay, so we're gonna be here next Thursday, watching the draft, covering the picks, giving our reactions and our reactions to the picks that come up. So it'll be a fun time next week with the NFL draft, 7 days away. If you're out there, thank you for watching. If you're watching on the recording, thank you for watching so much. You can follow us on Twitter. You can follow us on Facebook. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube. Follow us on Twitch. So for Mr. Emmons and Mr. Binkley, wish you a good night. Thank you for watching.